Thank you everyone for coming back to On Purpose, the #1 health podcast in the whole world. Thank you for making us the #1 podcast in the world. It means so much to me. I'm so grateful for all your love, all your engagement, and most importantly, for choosing education, for choosing enlightenment, for choosing empowerment over everything else in the world. You're taking out your time right now, whether you're walking your dog, you're at the gym, you're commuting to and from work. Thank you for taking this time to invest in yourself. Now, today's guest is someone that I've been looking forward to for such a long time. So I'm so happy. I'm so excited that he's finally here. His name is Yuval Harari. You've probably seen it in every bookstore in the world. If you travel at all, or if you ever walk into a shop, you will have seen it. His amazing international best-selling books, Sapiens, Homo Deus, and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. He's also a 2-time winner of the Polonsky Prize, which he won in 2009 and 2012 for his originality and creativity. And today, we get to dive into his incredible mind and find all of these insights that he shared. Yuval, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm grateful that you allowed me the opportunity.
No, I'm so excited. I genuinely was so looking forward to this discussion because it's not only about the success of your books. What you've been speaking about in your books have dipped into so many different parts of mainstream culture. And I love that how a thinker like you has been able to do that in today's incredible world. So congratulations for everything that you've done. And I'm hoping this is the start of a new relationship for us as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get straight into it.
Okay.
And I want to start off talking a bit about happiness, because happiness is a big theme for my audience. It's something that my audience cares a lot about. And I picked out something that I wanted to read that you say in your book. And you say, one of the chapters in your 21 Lessons for 21st Century is happiness equals reality minus expectations. Right? Happiness equals reality minus expectations. And I want to dive into that because I want to ask you, how should we set expectations? We all have expectations. I have expectations. Doing this podcast, I have expectations. When you think about anyone investing in their job, they have expectations. When someone starts a relationship, they have expectations. What is your take on how we should form, set, and create our expectations for happiness?
Oh, that's a big one to start with.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that we need to relax control a bit. Not to say to ourselves, these should be my expectations. The first step is actually to familiarize yourself with what you already expect and with the internal processes that have generated these expectations. Because usually most of us know extremely little about really what's going on inside us and about what forms our opinions, our desires, our expectations. There is a general tendency to identify with whatever pops up in your mind. And we are encouraged a lot by our culture and by the key ideologies of the age, whether it's liberal democracy, whether it's capitalism, consumerism, to just identify with our inner voice, with our, all these slogans that just do what feels good, just connect to your heart and all these things. And people mistake it to mean just identify, just look inside you and the first thing that comes up, identify with that. And my advice would be to really take the time to explore what is happening inside you and where do all these things really come from. So much of our expectations and our desires, they don't reflect any inner truth self. They reflect a million manipulations done on us either by external forces or even by internal forces that we know so little about. So before we reach the point when we write ourselves the list of items, this is my agenda for life, this is my expectation from life, take time, a long time, to first of all familiarize yourself with what is actually happening inside.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. I completely agree with you. I was sharing with you earlier that I was training to become an investment banker and work in business growing up. And then I got to a point where I looked at that and I was like, is that even me? Like, why do I even want to do that? And I realized because in the part of society that I grew up in, that was the most glorified role. So the people that I was surrounded by had made that seem as the peak role or job that someone in our society could attain. And so actually it wasn't my goal or dream. It was just the dreams and goals of people around me.
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to about how there are a million ways in which we're forming our dreams and goals?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And that's a very old story. Throughout human history, you're always influenced by your friends, your family, the culture around, and much of what people took to be their innermost desires and expectations, it actually came from outside. Today, it's even more extreme because we are increasingly acquiring technologies that enable external agents, whether corporations or government or whatnot, to really hack the human mind and hack the human brain and manipulate us in ways which were never possible before, which makes it's even more urgent than ever to really get to know yourself. The advice, know yourself, it's the oldest advice in the book. You go back thousands of years, you meet Socrates or Buddha or Confucius, this is what they'll tell you. Get to know yourself. It's the most important thing in life. But there is something new today. What's new today is that for the first time in history, you have real competition. If in the time of Buddha, you didn't make the effort to know yourself, I'm too busy, so you missed enlightenment. But you didn't face any competition out there because the kings and the aristocracy and the merchants in the time of Buddha, they couldn't get in your head. But today you have real competition. You may not have the time to get to know yourself because you're too busy. I'm too busy with the family, with the work, with whatever. But there are people who have the time and the money to get to know you. That's their business, to really get to know you. Their entire business model is based on that, or their entire political model is based on that. And so you now really have competition from these corporations and governments. And it's a very simple equation or a very simple idea. If they get to know you a little better than you know yourself, game over. They can manipulate and control you, and you will not even realize it, because the easiest people to manipulate are the people who believe in free will. The people who believe that their thoughts and desires and expectations, they reflect some authentic inner self. And they don't question, is this really the case?
Right. So how much does that person have free will? How much do you think a person does have free will?
I would say, as a first approximation, extremely little. I mean, I don't want to delve too deeply into the argument about the theoretical possibility of free will. If you want, we can go there.
I want to go wherever you want to go.
But as a first approximation, I would say that even if you believe that free will is possible theoretically in some situations, you should at least acknowledge that 99% of decisions don't reflect your free will. They reflect something else. So I don't mind even conceding the philosophical point, let's say that there is free will, but free will is not something you have.